The metaverse, it's been on everyone's lips, and not just because of Facebook's name change. We talked to a number of different executives across the tech spectrum about the metaverse this week.
The reality is there is an incredible opportunity as we think about the metaverse. And the metaverse is not one size fits all. It's about how you connect physical and digital spaces. A great example of that today is how we're thinking about working from anywhere now, whether you're in the home or the office. And what's the future of video conferencing and telepresencing, which you would actually have been fully immersed in a conference room using virtual reality?
The people working on it definitely think so and are eager to partner with us. It might just be a failure of imagination on my part, but like having my Slack messages and notifications show up in an alternate or virtual reality does not have a huge amount of appeal.
And the part of the metaverse that we're most engaged with is the play to earn ecosystem. But users are spending a lot of dollars, over $100 billion a year, engaging with games one directionally. It's an investment in and nothing back to them. And we think if there's an economy that gets built where the user can invest in and make an earnings out by owning digital assets and trading them, it could become a huge business.
I think what's perhaps being less appreciated is the role of metaverse, or as NVIDIA calls it, omniverse, in the enterprise. And this is where, think about a BMW who wants to build their next factory. They will render that in 3D. They can render that in 3D and optimize all the workflows before they actually start building it out. For them to go through that very expensive deployment, it is better to first simulate that in 3D and look at the effect of placing all these base stations.
Several major tech companies are dishing out billions of dollars in order to build our very own virtual reality future. Meta, formerly known as Facebook, announced its plan to invest $10 billion into developing products for augmented and virtual reality. Other companies like Microsoft, Apple, Google, and Valve are also looking to create tools for work and communication. We want to bring in CBSN technology reporter Dan Patterson to offer some insight because, Dan, when Facebook came out and said, we're changing the name to Meta, and we're interested in this metaverse, I think that, I don't know if everyone understood that you can't have one company contributing to the metaverse. But the nature of the metaverse is you have all sorts of different companies and services that play well together. What is the difference between AR and VR?
AR and VR are two different things, but they are accessed in the same way. You put on headsets or goggles and information is presented to you. So if you're playing a video game in virtual reality, you put on this big visor and it brings you into another world. If you're using augmented reality, it might be on your phone or in your smart glasses and it could tell you directions or somebody's name. That sounds cool, but it doesn't exist. What Facebook and other companies have presented is right now just a hype cycle. And it sounds cool, but it requires all sorts of infrastructure to build. Google, Valve, Snap, and a bunch of others have products in the market that you can buy right now and are actually being used by companies right now. They're just not this pie-in-the-sky idea of a internet-like universe that we all coexist in with VR and AR. That sounds cool. Once again, that's science fiction.
Yeah, it's interesting because, this whole metaverse announcement was really flashy, but Facebook or Meta owns Oculus. And as you know, I use my Oculus every single day. I use it for fitness, workout games, if you will. But the headset's super clunky. The graphics are like, they're kind of rudimentary, especially, situations where you're operating as yourself and you have to build an avatar. You still kind of look like this clunky cartoon character. What has the overall reaction to Facebook's announcement?
These companies and a lot of startups have been building various VR and AR products for a long time. If you go to any tech conference, and especially if you go to VR conferences, as many of our producers and reporters have, look, the sentiment you'll feel is like, good luck making a buck here. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Anne-Marie, your experience with VR is kind of a universal experience. It's nice for a few niche specific things, but mass adoption is really challenging right now.
Just some of the larger companies building products for virtual work and communication. This is not Google's first dive into virtual reality, though. Can you tell us more about where they stand?
One of Google's co-founders introduced one of their most disastrous products by jumping out of an airplane using Google Glass. This was like a smartphone that was strapped to something that looked like regular glasses. It had a camera on it. And it would show you directions or other things. Look, a laudable effort. It was really cool, but it was also really stupid. It was ahead of its time, and Google hyped it up as this next-gen consumer product. So Apple is the one company that might be able to get consumer adoption. And consumer adoption is really the thing. For Facebook to have a metaverse that people live in, they need consumers wearing glasses and goggles all day, every day. Apple has been rumored for years and years and years to have been working on both VR and AR goggles. We should say that Apple prototypes and tests all kinds of stuff. They've also been rumored to be working on a car. That might come to market. It might not. Apple tests many things. But if there is one company that can get people to adopt a new technology, it might be Apple.
The metaverse, we're hearing a lot about it these days, especially after Facebook renamed its company Meta. But we want to bring in one of the rising stars. They actually already are a star in this space. Justin Fuse, he's the founder and CEO of Octi. Now, this has been explained as a social media gaming app that's described as a metaverse meets AR meets virtual currency game. A lot to digest there. Justin, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this whole concept, but you're doing something right because you're the #1 free app right now in Apple's App Store. How should we be thinking about Octi in this space? And do you view yourself as a competitor to one of the bigger names that people might be more familiar with, like Facebook?
Yes, we do think of ourselves as a competitor in a way, but not directly. We have a totally different business model. We're thinking about the space in a new way. We're thinking about the creator in a new way. We're thinking about how people are rewarded for creativity in a new way. So as much as the description had a lot of different words, it's sort of accurate. It's a little bit of everything. A whole ecosystem of this like beautiful content creation where you can be anyone, be anywhere, with all of your friends.
That was the key that got this middle-aged curmudgeon Luddite interested. Because I'm still a little reluctant to have my image out there as, in the metaverse. But it's the cash, it's the coins and the tokens that people will earn by generating the images that then get shared. Tell us more about that.
Sure. So when you think about a typical social platform, you sort of have a pyramid of value. And most of the creator funds and things like that you hear about really reward the tippy top of that pyramid, the top 1%, where they create a content. If it's good and people like it and they engage with it, it gets likes, they get these coins, and we call it a coin drip. So coins start coming in, they start coming in a lot like likes used to do back in the day. The more of those you get, the more you can take them and go to town, go buy a pair of Nikes, go buy a pair of Adidas, your favorite toys, whatever that is. We have about 25 retailers right now. We're going to have 100 by the end of the year. So it's just been it's really great to have this warm reception for the platform, and really awesome all the excitement that we've had.